Colts downgrade QB Anthony Richardson to doubtful. Joe Flacco set to start. The Indianapolis Colts have downgraded quarterback Anthony Richardson from questionable to doubtful for their upcoming matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This paves the way for veteran quarterback Joe Flacco to likely lead the team into Jacksonville on Sunday. Richardson, who has been dealing with an oblique injury following a Week 4 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers, was initially optimistic about playing. However, the Colts are taking a cautious approach with their 22-year-old franchise QB, especially considering his history of injuries. This will mark the 14th game Richardson has missed out of a possible 22, including time lost last season due to a concussion and a shoulder injury that ultimately ended his rookie campaign on injured reserve. Flacco, now in his 17th NFL season, is expected to make his debut with the Colts, marking his 5th NFL team. The former Super Bowl MVP has had a storied career, including stints with the Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos, New York Jets, and Cleveland Browns. In relief of Richardson last week, Flacco showcased his skills by throwing for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns against a tough Steelers defense. Flacco will face the challenge of breaking a 9-game road losing streak for the Colts against the Jaguars. The Colts haven't beaten Jacksonville on the road since Andrew Luck led them to a 44-17 victory at Everbank Field on September 21, 2014. With the Colts sitting at 2-2 and the Jaguars still searching for their first win of the season, 0-4. Flacco's experience will be crucial as he attempts to turn the tide against a division rival. Davante Adams' injury and trade talks heat up. Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams is sidelined for this week's game against the Denver Broncos due to a hamstring injury. However, sources indicate that Adams is nearing full recovery and is expected to be healthy enough to play by next week. This development coincides with intensifying trade talks regarding his future. Adams has expressed interest in reuniting with his former quarterback Aaron Rodgers on the New York Jets, viewing it as his top choice. The New Orleans Saints have emerged as the most aggressive suitor, while teams like the Buffalo Bills and Pittsburgh Steelers are monitoring the situation closely, as trade discussions are expected to ramp up in the coming days. The Tuesday trade deadline looms large. If a deal is to be struck, it's likely to happen before the deadline, with sources indicating that the Raiders are willing to wait if they don't receive an acceptable offer. The Jets are currently in London for their Week 5 game against the Minnesota Vikings, which would give Adams an extra day to acclimate if a trade were to occur. Adams is familiar with the Jets' offense from his time in Green Bay, making a transition potentially seamless. Saints quarterback Derek Carr, a close friend of Adams, expressed interest in adding him to the roster, stating, "I think all 32 quarterbacks would love to play with Davante." Both Carr and Rodgers have been in regular contact with Adams, emphasizing the close relationships involved. The Raiders are reportedly seeking at least a second-round pick for Adams, who was acquired for a first- and second-round pick in March 2022. With a base salary of $17 million this year, the Jets could comfortably absorb his contract. However, the Saints would need to restructure it due to cap constraints. Regardless of which team trades for Adams, they will need to negotiate adjustments to his contracts for the 2025 and 2026 seasons, which carry cap hits of $44.1 million and $45.1 million, respectively. As trade talks continue to unfold, all eyes will be on Adams and his potential next destination. 49ers make roster moves ahead of Week 5 matchup against Cardinals. The San Francisco 49ers have made several significant roster adjustments as they prepare to face the Arizona Cardinals. The team placed defensive lineman Yetur Gross-Matos on injured reserve, sidelining him for at least 4 games. The specifics of his injury remain unclear, but he will be eligible to return after the bye week on November 10 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To fill the void left by Gross-Matos, the 49ers activated defensive lineman Kalia Davis from injured reserve and elevated T.Y. McGill from the practice squad. Davis has been recovering from a knee injury sustained during the preseason, marking his return after undergoing surgery. McGill has previous experience with the team, having played 9 games in 2022. Additionally, the 49ers elevated veteran wide receiver Trent Taylor from the practice squad. Taylor will likely take over punt return duties if Jacob Cowing, who is questionable with a shoulder injury, cannot play. On the injury front, linebacker Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles will miss the game due to a calf injury, while wide receiver Chris Conley is listed as doubtful with an oblique injury. However, the team is optimistic about the availability of linebacker Fred Warner and tight end George Kittle, both of whom are listed as questionable. Gross Matos had been a key contributor on the defensive line, playing significant snaps and providing inside pass rush support, particularly with the absence of defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, who is out for the season with a torn triceps. The 49ers will look to solidify their defense as they face the Cardinals this Sunday. Nico Collins rising to superstardom. Fred Warner's early claim on Defensive Player of the Year. Nico Collins, the emerging superstar. Houston's transformation into an AFC contender has placed quarterback C.J. Stroud in the spotlight. But it's time to recognize wide receiver Nico Collins as a burgeoning star in his own right. In just his third season, Collins is proving to be a key player in the Texans' offensive resurgence. Last season, he recorded 80 receptions for 1.297 yards and 8 touchdowns. And he's taken his game to new heights this year, with 489 receiving yards and 30 catches through the first 4 weeks of the season. Collins leads the NFL in several categories, including 25 first downs and 7 receptions of 20-plus yards. His ability to perform under pressure was on full display during a recent game against Jacksonville, where he notched 12 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown. Stroud, who has developed a strong rapport with Collins, praised him, saying, "You're a superstar, and I'm going to make sure people know that," as the Texans prepare for a pivotal matchup against the Buffalo Bills. Collins stands on the brink of joining the elite ranks of receivers like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. His combination of size, route running ability, and clutch performances make him a key figure to watch as Houston aims for continued success. Fred Warner, a defensive juggernaut. On the other side of the ball, Fred Warner of the San Francisco 49ers is making a compelling case for the AP Defensive Player of the Year award. Currently, he is Pro Football Focus's highest-graded player, boasting impressive stats that include 27 tackles, 4 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, and 1 sack through the first month of the season, despite an ankle injury that sidelined him during the second half of last week's game. Warner's impact has been undeniable. Warner's ability to dominate both in coverage and as a tackler is unparalleled. He sets the tone for the 49ers' aggressive defensive style, consistently making game-changing plays, such as his peanut punch against Breece Hall and a spectacular pick six in Week 4. His blend of instinct, speed, and versatility makes him a nightmare for opponents and a key leader on the field, as the 49ers strive to maintain their status as Super Bowl contenders. Warner's play will be crucial in ensuring their defense remains formidable. Bengals' defensive struggles. In stark contrast, the Cincinnati Bengals find themselves grappling with defensive woes, having recently allowed 24 or more points in 3 straight games. After losing key players like Jesse Bates and DJ Reader, the defense is struggling to find its footing, with the Bengals ranked 27th in points allowed and the second fewest sacks in the league. Questions are mounting about their ability to compete in a tough AFC. Defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo faces the challenge of revitalizing a lackluster pass rush while integrating younger players. The focus must shift to finding reliable contributors who can mask deficiencies and bolster the unit's overall performance. Rookie Chris Jenkins and returning players like B.J. Hill could play pivotal roles in turning things around. In a tightly contested conference, the Bengals will need to shore up their defensive issues quickly if they hope to support Joe Burrow and the offense in their quest for success. Conclusion. As the season unfolds, the narratives surrounding players like Nico Collins and Fred Warner highlight the dynamic landscape of the NFL. Collins is poised for superstardom, while Warner's all-around excellence could redefine defensive playmaking. Meanwhile, the Bengals must address their challenges head-on to remain competitive in a crowded AFC. Patriots' Ramondre Stevenson to sit as starter versus Dolphins due to ball security issues. New England Patriots head coach Jerod Mayo has announced that running back Ramondre Stevenson will not start against the Miami Dolphins on Sunday, citing ongoing concerns about his ball security. Stevenson has struggled with fumbles, having coughed up the ball in every game this season, leading to 2 lost possessions in the past 2 outings. In a recent episode of Patriots All Access, Mayo stated, "I had a conversation with Ramondre, and quite frankly this week he won't be starting. He will play, but he understands that he has to protect the football going forward. It's a mentality at this point." Stevenson's fumbles have proven costly, with 2 of them resulting in points for opposing teams. Despite recovering the ball in weeks 1 and 2, the trend prompted Mayo to consider this decision early in the week. Stevenson expressed his disappointment in his performance, acknowledging, "I'm super tough on myself. I just have to hold on to the ball and have that mentality to come up with the ball every time. It's my job to do that. And I haven't been doing it well." The running back, who signed a 4-year, $36 million extension this offseason, has been a reliable weapon for the Patriots since his breakout 2022 season. So far in 2024, he has rushed for 267 yards on 65 carries with 2 touchdowns, averaging 4.1 yards per carry. In light of Stevenson's benching, Antonio Gibson is expected to receive more opportunities. Gibson has gained 155 rushing yards on 29 carries, 5.3 YPC, and has not fumbled in 36 total touches, making him a safer option as the Patriots look to turn around their season. New England enters the game at 1-3, facing a Dolphins team with the same record and also seeking to snap a 3-game losing streak. In a matchup featuring 2 struggling offenses, the ability to protect the football will be critical.